This is Lionel Barrymore, sort of a special announcer for today. I want to announce that I am extremely pleased to extend congratulations to Art Baker and his notebook on this 10th anniversary. I've listened to the notebook for years when I'm home, and when I'm on a picture, I get a rehash of the program at dinner time. Art has a wholesomeness that's refreshing and a sense of humor that keeps popping up unexpectedly. I'm glad the notebook has lived 10 years, and here's wishing it success for another 10 years. And now, at the usual time, Monday through Friday, we have the pleasure of bringing into your home our ambassador of goodwill, Art Baker and his notebook.
Thank you very much, Lionel Barrymore. Goose Pimple Baker, I'm known as these days, Little Artie in Wonderland. And where I'm not covered with goose pimples, you'll find little black and blue spots where I've been pinching myself. That's how you can identify the body in case I don't survive this day, which is becoming increasingly dubious. My thanks, my very humble thanks, to Mr. Barrymore, who incidentally, just about 21 minutes ago, sent me the most gorgeous, scrumptious birthday cake I ever saw. And thanks to the many other wonderful folks who have made this a day that I will never forget and probably never quit talking about. But it wouldn't be quite truthful to say that I'm just thrilled. There's something a lot more, deeper than that. I wish I could show you all the beautiful, flattering, friendly greetings that have come pouring in from listeners. Greetings on penny postcards and embossed stationery or birthday cards. And these, oddly enough, have not given me the great, big feeling of pride that I thought I'd have. Yeah, I thought by now that I'd be puffing out my chest and crowing from the housetops and chortling at my friend Pete, who insisted that people wouldn't write in to extend greetings if you didn't give them some kind of a prize. No, somehow I don't feel like crowing or beating my chest. I feel very humble and very grateful. I feel that I am the luckiest guy in the world.
Okay, Art Baker, move over. You've talked long enough. This is Hedda Hopper, and now I'm going to take over.
Hedda, my dear, take over.
Well, I just came over to congratulate you on your 10 years of notebook. I've kept a lot of notes, but it hasn't taken me 10 years to record them. But you're the Gabby type, and well, I know, because we worked together so beautifully for 3 years on Sun-Kissed.
Peddling oranges, Hedda,
Yes, I always called them God's sunshine, and weren't they? And they were good to us, too. Say, Art, your notebook I loved, but I'm a little upset about the parts you've been getting in pictures. You're such a nice guy. Why do you always have to play these mean old so-and-sos on the screen? It makes me so mad well, you know what I could do.
Hedda, I love to play mean parts because on my notebook I'm so sticky, so sweet, so lovely.
I know, but you are really lovely. You're lovely from inside, Art, and I should know. You know, for years, I was the sort of mother that tossed the house of cards down after her son had built them up. And not until after I got my newspaper column was I ever allowed to play a nice character on the screen. Now, I don't want you to fall into my trap. I want you to get a nice part, and I'm going to go out and campaign for one.
Hedda, that is not only an anniversary wish, that's just like rubbing Aladdin's lamp. Anything that Hedda Hopper starts out to do is done. It was so nice of you to come down here, Hedda, and look me right in the eye now and wish me 10 years more, will you?
Honey, I wish you 50 years more. I don't know a nicer guy in Hollywood or in the whole United States. You're a great person, Art. I don't wonder that everybody loves you. And now put your puss down here. I'm going to give you a smacker.
I hope that came over, too. Thank you, Hedda.
Looks as if Daddy will need a breathing spell to recover his composure, so I guess I'll help out. This is Art Baker's baby, as he insists upon calling me. My name is Diane, and I've waited a long time for a chance like this. I'm quite grown up now, 17 and a half. So of course I was 7 when Daddy started this notebook. 7, revolting age. As I look back over the last 10 years, I smile at some of the happenings and shudder when I think of others. I'm not complaining, understand, but how would you like to be a guinea pig for 10 years, with no more privacy than a goldfish, with everything you did recited on the air? I'd come home from school when I was 7, 10, 13, even now. And what do I hear from the radio? Now, that's the trouble with my small fry. Just last night, Diane said, or Diane did, or Diane didn't, such and such. Nothing is sacred. My first crush on a boy in the 3rd grade, the first bad mark on my report card, arguments about high heels, lipstick, why can't I stay out after 11, all these were woven into stories the next day, and did the kids at schools razz me. Even in commercials, I had my innings. You should see Diane's eyes sparkle when I took her to Slavics. Or, even Diane could make cookies with Rockwood chocolate bits. Oh, yes, I use all of Daddy's products. They're swell, and then it's easier than having your arm twisted. But I want freedom. I am no longer a small fry or a little squirt or a baby. I'm 17. I refuse to be a guinea pig anymore. Oh, I've had my good moments, of course. I don't really mind when people say, "Oh, I've listened to your father for years." People send me Christmas cards and birthday cards. Daddy's nice in a lot of ways. Yes, a lot of ways. Bet I'd feel awful funny if he never mentioned me at all. What business is it of the kids at school if he wants to use me as a guinea pig? Is that bad? What was it I was so anxious to say today? Oh, yes. Happy anniversary, Daddy, from your small fry.
Oh, thank you, darling. Yes, sir, that's my baby. 7 years old she was when her daddy first started broadcasting this notebook thingaroo, and now a young lady of 17 and a half. Living proof that 10 years is a whale of a long time, no matter what astronomers and archaeologists try to intimate. Oh, a lot of things can happen in 10 years. In my particular case, the vast majority of them have been very wonderful. Anniversaries, of course, are the proper time for looking back, retrospect, and in the last few days, I've done a lot of looking back and thinking back over the years. And strangely enough, the things that stand out the sharpest, the events that I remember the best, are ones that I had blessed little to do with. They're the occasions when you listeners have presented the real story, and, well, the occasions are many. I remember early in the war, when I passed along a thing from the Army, a request for costume jewelry, to be carried by our flyers in the South Pacific and used for barter in case they were forced down the jungle. I don't think any person on this earth could remember what I said or how I said it. Certainly I've forgotten long ago. But I don't think anybody who was here at KFI at the time could ever forget what you did about it, how you responded. Upwards of 3 tons, I think the final count was. That's all the more phenomenal when you stop to consider how many beads and earrings and stick pins and stuff it takes to make just a pound. Of course, I remember the Christmas when I asked listeners to bring in gifts that they had received but they couldn't really use. I said I'd pile them in my car and Becky and take them down to the county hospital and where a very tender-hearted nurse had promised to distribute them to the old folks who might have been forgotten at Christmas. Also, I remember the 2-ton truck and the caravan of more than a dozen cars that were loaded to the gunnels to transport the gifts to the old folks at the county hospital and down at Rancho Los Amigos and the rest homes throughout this entire vast area here. I still remember the truck driver. He squatted down on his hands and knees on the sidewalk in front of KFI while we were loading, and he peered under his truck and he said, "I've got overload springs on her, but I just can't haul any load like that. I can't." I remember the time when I read a letter from a veteran in the Navy hospital at Corona. He decided somehow he wanted a horned toad for a pet. He wasn't sure how to go about getting one. I remember the 2 small boys who phoned in they wanted to give him their pet horned toad, although I'm sure they'd have been very happy to give them their right arms instead. I remember the folks who drove all the way up from Riverside to bring in a horned toad in a little matchbox, and the man who was going to ship a consignment of horned toads from Arizona. I remember the frantic era when I had more horned toads than I could figure out what to do with. I remember, too, the swim trunks that you contributed to the boys at Corona, and the many responses to the appeals from the Cape Crutcher workers of the Children's Hospital. Of course, war bond drives, when you kept the KFI switchboard flooded with your pledges. Oh, I remember a lot of things from those 10 years. Wonderful, inspiring, such heartwarming things. I've lived through a kind of a 10-year Keeley cure for cynicism, I have. I have seen the most eloquent proof it's possible to present. Proof that people are wonderful. Rochester, will you catch the phone, please?
Sure. Hello, Mr. Benny, this is Rochester. Oh, it's you, Reverend Brown. No, I couldn't be there last Sunday. Mr. Benny kept me busy all day. He wanted to take a Sunday stroll bareheaded, and it took me all morning to part and shampoo it. Yes? Sure, I'll be glad to tell him. Goodbye.
Who was that, Rochester?
Oh, that was the reverend of my church. He wanted me to tell you that a lot of the congregation listened to your notebook, and he and they appreciate the understanding and tolerance you preach from your pulpit, the microphone. And he also wants me to congratulate you on the 10th anniversary of your notebook.
Oh, that's swell, Rochester. Thanks. I appreciate your being here when that phone rang, too. Thanks again.
You're certainly welcome, Art. And I just want to add this. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary, Art Baker. Happy anniversary to you.
May I break in here, Art, before that singing gets completely out of control? Art, sit back for a minute, will you, and put that notebook back in your pocket, because I am taking over the commercials for today. You know, around here at KFI, Art is the envy of all us announcers. He seems to have the nicest sponsors on the whole station. He picks his products carefully. He has an understanding before they come on that he won't read any prepared copy. He visits the factories, meets the personnel, tests the products carefully, and talks about them in his own way. I guess they must get results because Art has a waiting list. Many of his sponsors have been with him for years, as you know. Take this message from the Slavic Jewelry Company, who've been on the notebook 2,500 times. Art Baker is pretty grand people himself. By the way, this is really anniversary week for Slavics and you. They're celebrating their 31st day after tomorrow. And then here's Vel. Or rather, here's a message from its makers, the Colgate-Palmolive Peat Company. They're using a familiar word in their message. Says, Art Baker is marvelous, too. Anybody who can talk 10 years is certainly qualified to talk about Vel. That really is something in the way of distinction, Art. The only guy in the country who talks a Vel commercial instead of singing it. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah, Kellogg's. Kellogg's Variety is relinquishing prior rights on that word variety today. That's quite an honor, too. This little message says, more power to the notebook. Variety is something it has plenty of. That from them is knows. The great Kellogg Company, famous the world over for grand cereals. This next item is from those Barbara Ann varieties. You'll like it, too, I think, Art. May you continue, Art Baker, to cast the bread of human kindness upon the waters and reap the bountiful harvest of good fellowship. Kind of nice, isn't it, Art? And it sounds like the Barbara Ann people, too. Gee, all these little notes are swell. MCP here, Mutual Citrus Products. They're old notebook friends. I meant to look up how long they'd been on the notebook, quite a few years, I guess. And they're sending those same sincere good wishes for many more years of notebook operation. May you talk for at least another 10 years. That from the makers of MCP Pectin and MCP Lemon Juice. And another old friend, Yummy Yogurt. Seems to me Art introduced this milk food to Southern California. I really should have done a little research on this sponsor business. I just came armed with their messages, not their life histories today. From Yummy Yogurt, more good wishes, and a thank you to, quote, Art Baker, purveyor of happiness, which is the foundation of all good health and good fellowship. And, Art, I have messages here from others, too. Rockwood and Company, the original chocolate bits. Strand Steel, the Lorenz Broom Company. Super Renews It, and the Sealy Mattress Company. These notebook sponsors join with the thousands of Art Baker fans to wish the ambassador of goodwill many more years of successful goodwilling on the air. And we, all of us here, Art, really do mean that. And now the manager of KFI, Mr. William Ryan, has a few things to say about the notebook.
Hello, Art. I thought perhaps you wouldn't mind if the KFI management let your audience in on a little trade secret. We started planning for this 10th anniversary salute several weeks ago, and not being able to remember the exact date Art Baker began his program on KFI, we dug into our files to find a contract with the now famed notebook narrator. Well, believe it or not, and much to our amazement, there wasn't any contract, and never has been. So you see, this 10-year relationship between KFI and Art Baker has been completed without so much as the scratch of a pen. Art Baker has fulfilled a 10-year contract on a gentleman's agreement. We of KFI feel a great pride in the growth of his notebook program and in its nationwide popularity. And furthermore, we feel that Art Baker as a person deserves the success he has won. Happy 10th anniversary, Art. We'll be looking forward to cutting another notebook birthday cake after your 20th anniversary.
Well, my thanks to you, Mr. Ryan, for those kind words. May I also add that one of the most pleasant things about any job is to have very nice bosses. Well, my 10 years association with KFI has probably spoiled me completely. Not only by pleasant associations, but by personal considerations that you'd have no right to expect. You know, I'm still convinced in my own mind that the boss, Mr. Earl C. Anthony, personally broke up a deep-seated plot to starve me to death when I was in the hospital last year recovering from an appendectomy. Now, books are awful nice, flowers are sentimental, but what really saved my life was the timely arrival of Mr. Anthony bearing a thermos jar filled with Ingeborg soup. Except for that, there probably wouldn't be any 10th anniversary. And also, speaking of anniversaries, which seems to be quite the subject of the day, here's a cute little trick that you can play with a pencil in the back of an envelope. In a community of 3 million people, by the law of averages, on any given day in the calendar, there should be, I find, 8,219 folks observing a birthday anniversary. And not to mention the additional thousands who may be observing wedding anniversaries. And while I'm deeply grateful and beholden for all the nice things that have been said about the 10th anniversary of the notebook, leave us not overlook the fact that it's a very young frog in a very, very large puddle. And boiled down into just one paragraph of one of the letters received from you listeners, I came across this. But you are not the only one who has reason to celebrate September 8th, as that will be our 50th wedding anniversary, and we think that is something, too, don't you? Yes, indeedy. But the notebook is getting a little out of its class if it presumes to ride along in the same breath with a golden wedding anniversary. And so my sincere good wishes to Mr. and Mrs. F.E. Hutchinson, 1317 Edmund Drive, Rosemead, California. And following through on the aforementioned law of averages, I discovered today that this also is the birthday anniversary of Mr. George Dvorak, who was assigned to help me out in the studio here in case I became speechless. So, of the 8,219 folks in Los Angeles who should be observing birthday anniversaries today, that leaves only 8,218 unaccounted for. Now, George, entirely in the spirit of the golden rule, may I do for you what I've already been done by? Happy birthday, George Dvorak. Happy birthday to you.
Thanks, Art. You're in good voice today. And I'm not a tiny bit jealous of your party. In fact, I think it's kind of exciting. Say, here's a couple of surprises that were made on the QT. You don't know anything about them. And I know that you're going to get a big surprise, and I think you're going to get a big kick out of them, too.
This is Mayor Fletcher Bowron extending congratulations to Art Baker on the 10th anniversary of his notebook. Mr. Baker is rather unique in the field of commentators in that he finds pleasure in searching for things that are good, rather than spotlighting the bad. He is always eager to help any worthy cause, and I express the hope that his notebook will continue to spread understanding and tolerance for many more years.
This is Sheriff Gene Biscaluse. I've known Art Baker for about 18 years now, and I must say he's never given me one bit of trouble. In fact, I want to say that Art's philosophy has done a great deal to give courage and inspiration to many who have needed it badly. Here's wishing that your notebook, Art, may be a hardy perennial for years to come.
And now a message from Donald Duck himself.
Congratulations, Art Baker, on the notebook. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, notebook. Happy birthday to you!
And this arrived.
May I call you Art? You see, I'm not a movie star, nor a radio actress. In fact, I'm not a celebrity at all. I'm just one of the thousands of women who listen to you each day. We, too, want to add our congratulations on your 10th year at KFI and express our appreciation for your program and hope that it continues for many, many years more.
Now from London, England.
This is Cary Grant, extending congratulations to my friend Art Baker, and hoping we may all enjoy his notebook for many, many more years.
And this from the Johnson family in Chickasaw.
Chickasaw celebrating Art Baker's Day today. This Art Baker's Day in Chickasaw. You can make a speech.
Well, no, I ain't gonna make no speech exactly, Lucy, but on behalf of the people of Chickasaw, I does want to say that, well, we extends our heartiest greetings to Mr. Art Baker on his 10th anniversary. We needs more like Mr. Baker in radio. The warmth, the deep warmth of his program, I know has helped millions, Lucy. So stay with us, Mr. Baker. We need you. We need you bad. Not for the 10th anniversary, but for the 20th, the 30th, and even the 40th and 50th anniversary. Stay with us.
Say, there is a picture for you, believe me, my 50th anniversary. And wasn't that nice for those people that make those things? Gee whiz, I've got 10 of them gone. 50th anniversary would make me 90 years old. I can just hear it there. This is Art Baker in his notebook, broadcasting from his wheelchair at the bottom of Bailey's bomb crater. Yes, sir, by cracky. It's another beautiful day, excepting for the smog, of course. But the mayor, he's appointed another commission, and they're going to find out what causes this confounded smog. They used to think it was factories and backyard incinerators before they tore down all the factories and all the houses, making way for the new freeways. I don't know. Let's not look 40 years ahead. There's still so many interesting things in the world of today. One of which is a highly fascinating new book that I just received under the provocative title of And There I Stood with My Piccolo. I received a personally autographed advance copy of the book from the author, who was just starting to read it when this avalanche of anniversary greetings descended upon me. I'm sorry to say that I haven't seen my wife or the book any time since then. I think she's barricaded herself in some other part of the house. Either that or we have laughing mice in our attic. As soon as I get caught up on this mail, I intend to find out which. Gosh, I ought to remember the name of the author who gave me the copy as an anniversary gift. Awful nice guy. Oh, you know. He's a band leader. What's his name? He has those clever talking people. Oh, you know who I mean.
Oh, Meredith! Oh, Meredith Wilson!
That's it, Meredith Wilson.
Listen, my dear little talking people.
Is it true that Art Baker is only 10 years old?
What?
Tell us, Meredith. Is it true? Tell us, please, Meredith. Won't you tell us, please? Is he?
Oh, certainly not. How could Art Baker give out with all that wonderful philosophy if he was only 10 years old?
Well,
I'm surprised at you.
Well,
the very idea.
Well,
goodness sakes. Now, don't cry. I'm sorry. Your mistake was very natural. You see, Art Baker's notebook program is 10 years old.
Oh.
Yes. Now, can't you say something nice for Mr. Baker?
Something nice for Mr. Baker?
No. I mean, wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mr. Baker's notebook program. Happy birthday to you.
See, that's what I call beautiful teamwork. I love that. Say, about this word beautiful, I can't somehow bring myself to the point where I can drop that it's another beautiful day from my opening. I try to beat myself into it, but I can't. I get letters that say, well, no matter how dismal or blue I feel, I always get a lift when you say it's another beautiful day. But I will confess, on the other hand, every once in a while someone says, if you say that again, I'll scream.
This is Jimmy Durante, and you can put me down as the screaming type.
Jimmy Durante, this is an honor. Don't tell me you listen to this notebook thing occasionally. I wouldn't have imagined it.
I only listen when it rains, chum. Just when it rains. At 3 o'clock, I looks out the window and it's raining. At 3:15, the sidewalks is underwater. At 3:30, I says to myself, I wonder if this guy'll say it's another beautiful day. At 3:45, the whole neighborhood is underwater like a Florida subdivision. At 4 o'clock, I takes my portable radio under my arm, adjusts my life preserver, crawls up into the roof, and says to myself, nah, he wouldn't dare, not today. At 4:15, the Coast Guard is taking soundings in my petunia bed. At 4:30, I says to myself, let's just turn on the radio and see what he says. By now, the suspense is killing me. So I sets the dial. I turns the knob. I brace my feet and I grits my teeth. The lightning hits the chimney and I hits the deck. I loses my portable radio down the hole in the roof. but I hears the bubbles and the gurgles coming up. It's another beautiful day. That's when I start screaming.
But you missed the whole point there, Jimmy. Now, look, for some day, it's beautiful for somebody, no matter what the weather is. Imagine now, you're a brand new mother. You're lying in bed. You're watching the patter of rain against the window.
What a revolting development this is.
No, wait. I'm the nurse now. I come in the room quietly, I touch you on the shoulder, and I whisper, here's your new son. Isn't he beautiful? Move over now, snuggle him down beside you.
That's enough. Do I care if it's raining? No. I looks up at the nurse and say, it's another beautiful day.
Hooray! I made another convert. That makes me very happy. And Jimmy Durante, this is a thrill I'll never forget if I live to be 100.
What do you mean, if? I thought you already made it. Seriously, Art, sincere congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you very much, Jimmy Durante. Oh, Jiminy, I don't know whether I feel like 100 or a kid of 10, to tell you the truth. I guess that kid of 10 fits me a little better, for I'm filled a lot more with goose pimples than I am with any so-called philosophy, believe me. You know, I am just at the point where, believe it or not, I can't think of anything to say. Who are you?
Pardon me.
Go away, little girls. I was saying, folks...
Pardon me.
Please, little girl, I'm on the air.
But my daddy told me to come here and wish you a happy birthday.
Your daddy told you... It's baby Snooks.
Yeah.
This is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, ain't it?
You little angel, you came all the way down here to wish old Uncle Art a happy birthday. That deserves a kiss.
It deserves more than that.
What do you mean?
It deserves a piece of birthday cake.
Aha! Method to your madness, eh, Snooks? You figured that where there's a birthday, there's a cake. Could it be that's what you want? Could that be?
Could be.
Well, Snooks, I'm awful sorry. This isn't that kind of a party.
Goodbye, Mr. Baker.
Now, wait a minute. Don't rush off. Now that you're here, stick around, please. After all, this is my 10th anniversary.
What's an anniversary?
Well, an anniversary is an annual commemoration of a certain day or date. For example, now, the day your father and mother got married. That's known as their anniversary.
That ain't what my daddy says.
Well, after all, that marriage produced a pretty little girl like you.
A what?
A pretty little girl like you.
Do you feel all right, Mr. Baker?
I never felt better in my life. This is a great big day for me. 10 years ago, I presented my first notebook program.
Why?
Well, frankly, KFI had a half hour open every afternoon. They had to fill it with something. They just couldn't have a half hour of silence.
It might be better.
Now, Snooks, I don't like the way this conversation is going. Look, honey, here's my notebook, and this is the first word I ever talked about, vision. If you think about that word, it'll remind you of all kind of things. Columbus staring out the horizon, James Watt watching the tea kettle. Snooks, what's the matter?
It reminded me of something, too.
What?
A birthday cake.
Oh, goodness. Now, quiet down, honey. I'll see that you get a nice big piece of the birthday cake as soon as the program is over.
I want it now.
You can't.
I want it now.
All right, you win. I tell you, say goodbye to everybody and sign us off the air.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. You've just been signed off the air.
Tune in tomorrow afternoon, same time, 4:30,
Same time, 4:30.
for another visit with
With another visit with
Art Baker and his notebook.
Art Baker in his cookbook.
Snooks, you always think of something to eat?
Yeah.
That does it. Mr. George Barkley, I want to thank you for helping me out, too, but take it away. We're going to cut the cake.
You bet we are, Art. You've been sharing the 10th anniversary party of Art Baker and his notebook. Art's gratitude for your thousands of letters and cards is unbounded. We don't need to express it, I'm sure. You've helped make a grand guy very, very happy today. What's left of him will be back tomorrow, same time.